The howling had not stopped for 3 days. It echoed through the frozen valleys of Kalara Prime, a planet where winter lasted 9 months and mercy was a concept as foreign as warmth. The Varkesh pack huddled in their den, carved deep into the mountainside, their thick fur doing little to shield them from the cold that had settled into their bones, a cold that had nothing to do with temperature. Varkan stood at the entrance, his massive frame silhouetted against the blizzard beyond. His eyes, usually sharp and amber, were dulled with a grief so profound it seemed to age him years in mere days. Behind him the pack, 23 adults who had once been fierce hunters of the ice plains, lay scattered like broken statues. Some pressed their muzzles to the stone floor. Others stared at nothing. The keening cries that rose from their throats were ancient, primal sounds that predated language itself. The cubs were gone. 7 young ones, not yet old enough to have their naming ceremony, had ventured out during a brief break in the storms. They had been playing as cubs do, testing their limits and ignoring the warnings of their elders. Then the sky had opened with a fury that even the oldest Varkesh could not remember. The temperature had dropped 40 degrees in minutes. The wind had become a living thing, savage and hungry. The search parties had returned empty-handed, half-frozen themselves. The elders had performed the rite of letting go. The pack had accepted what the mountain demanded. Sacrifice. All except Varkun. He stood watch, refusing to eat, refusing to sleep. His gaze fixed on the white emptiness where his daughter had disappeared. "They are with the snow now," his mate Sherna had whispered, her voice hollow. "We must accept the mountain's claim." But Varkan had not moved. Could not move. That was when the shape appeared in the storm. At first it seemed like a trick of the wind, a snow devil taking form. But then it solidified, growing larger, moving with purpose against the gale that would have torn any creature apart. Varkun's hackles rose. His lips pulled back in an instinctive snarl. The figure was small compared to a Varkesh, walking on 2 legs in that peculiar way that marked it as one of the new arrivals to Kalara Prime. A human. They had established a research station 3 valleys over, studying the planet's extreme weather patterns. The Varkesh had kept their distance. Humans were weak things, furless and fragile, with dull teeth and no claws. They died easily on this world. Yet this one walked through a storm that had killed cubs. As it drew closer, Varkan could see it was covered head to toe in some kind of artificial skin, bulky and insulated. Frost clung to every surface. The human's movements were labored, each step deliberate, as though moving through deep water rather than snow. But it was what the human carried that made Varkun's breath catch in his chest. Bundles. 7 bundles strapped to its back, its front, cradled in its arms. And from those bundles came sounds, weak, mewling sounds that Varkun had thought he would never hear again. The human collapsed at the den's entrance. For a moment, no one moved. The pack stared in stunned silence as the figure struggled to its knees, then carefully, so carefully, began to unwrap the bundles. Cubs. 7 cubs, each one wrapped in layers of thermal material, their small bodies shivering but alive. Alive. "Found them." The human's voice came through a communication device, translated into the barking language of the Varkish. In a ice hollow, 3 kilometers north, they huddled together, smart cubs. Varkun moved first. He bounded forward, his massive paws sending up sprays of snow. He reached the nearest cub, his daughter Mara, and began licking her face frantically, warming her with his breath. Behind him, the den erupted. Parents rushed forward, crying names, pressing close to cubs they had mourned as dead. The human, Arya Thorn, according to the identification patch visible on her suit, sat back in the snow. Even through the frost-covered visor, Varkun could see her face was pale, her lips tinged blue. She had given her thermal wrappings to the cubs. The heating elements in her suit were surely depleted. She had carried 70 kilograms of cubs through a blizzard that could freeze flesh in minutes. "Why?" Varkun growled, the word awkward in his throat. Humans and Varkesh rarely spoke. "Why risk death for our young?" Arya Thorn pulled off her visor with shaking hands. Her face was cut, windburned, marked with frostbite. But her eyes, those strange human eyes, held something Varkun recognized. The same thing he had felt standing watch for 3 days. "Because," she said, her actual voice thin and cracking, "I heard you, all of you. That sound, that grief." She paused, struggling for breath. "I have a daughter too, back on Earth. If she were lost, if someone could bring her back to me." Tears froze on her cheeks before they could fall. "I had to try." The pack gathered around them now, a circle of massive predators surrounding one small human who should have been prey. But there was no threat in their posture. One by one they lowered their heads, a gesture of profound respect among the Varkesh. Shirna approached and gently took Arya's frozen hand between her warm paws, holding it carefully despite claws that could tear metal. Varkun stepped forward. He was pack leader, and some declarations required formality. "Arya, Thorn of Earth," he said, his voice carrying to every member of his pack. "You have returned our future to us. You walked through death itself to bring our cubs home." He lowered his great head until his forehead touched hers. "The highest honor one Varkesh could give another. You are pack now. For all your days you are Varkesh. Our dens are your dens. Our hunts feed you. Our protection shields you." A chorus of howls rose from the pack, not of grief now, but of acceptance, of joy. Arya Thorne smiled even as she shivered violently. "I think I need to get warm now." They carried her into the den, surrounding her with their bodies, sharing the warmth that had been absent for days. The cubs piled on top of her, seeking the strange creature who had saved them. And for the first time since the blizzard had taken the young ones, the pack settled into peaceful silence. Outside, the storm still raged, but inside there was warmth, there was family, and there was one human who had taught an entire pack that sometimes the strongest among them wore no fur at all, but carried the fiercest hearts.